Put your hand, everybody. Now, I'm going to do my first apology. I'm going to have you look over your left shoulder. Picture, say, 1,000 words. At that big signage on your left. And that's the capsule. Here's a mock-up of one right in front of you. An engineering mock-up. And that's the massive Moon rocket that took the belly of the space launch system. Yes, this is a combination of Moon rocket and spatial. It's RB. The capsule, to many people, looks like Apollo. But it's called Orion. Whereas Apollo carried 3 astronauts, this is going to carry 4. So we like to refer to it as Apollo on steroids. And what's this capsule going to do? No, it's not going to go to the space station. Remember, we want commercial companies to do that, low Earth orbit. We want to use this capsule to send astronauts to go somewhere. Where? Maybe back to the moon, maybe go to asteroids, and maybe ultimately sending humans to Mars. But we are very, very long way from that. Right? So that's the future in front of you. Now, where you're standing at is called the transfer aisle. Nothing was assembled here. The different parts of the rocket, the Moon rocket, were brought into that door on the opposite of the American flag, on big trailers. For the space shuttle program, the orbiter came in over through the door you just came in. There's a big notch in the middle for the tail gun. We have a big transporter. But what I'm getting to is it had to be lifted up by big cranes. Not this first yellow crane directly above your head with an American flag on it. I'm talking about the cranes way up there on the roof. 525 feet up. And yes, oh, by the way, you're standing in the world's tallest single-story building. But here's the thing, Mike. The only thing I want to point out to you, we can spend hours in here talking about this place, but here's the thing. You have to get the rocket behind the doors so you can assemble them vertically and then open up the doors to get them out to the launch pad out there. So if you look real carefully, way up there toward the top, on the upper left, there you see a big opening or a gap. So the Moon rocket had to be lifted 16 stories into the sky, moved over with a big crane, and then lowered back down to be put on one of those big mobile launchers. Well, here's the thing. The space shuttle was much wider than the Moon rocket, the wing vehicle, the orbiter, like the Atlantis. So in order to get the orbiter through that opening, they had to turn it 45 degrees. And even then, when they were passing it through the opening, they had workers up there with brooms to make sure the wings didn't hit the steel beams. That's called rocket science. And then they, on your right, a picture, say 1,000 words. Here you show the evolution of what goes on inside the bigger building. Here's the Apollo, then here's the shuttle.
I'm making a video. Maybe you can turn it into something nice.
And as we all make our way down here, like time in the ocean. Okay, for everybody who can hear my voice, here's your only opportunity to see
Try not to get in your way.
a kilometer transporter. That big gray thing over to your right, or in front of you now, that's what lifted up that big tower for the Moon rocket and the Moon rocket itself and carried out to the launch pad along the beach. And then they modified it for the shuttle. Well, we have 2 of these things, and both of them are undergoing 47-year-old extreme makeovers. And my friends, we could not have gotten to the moon were it not for that big tractor. Top speed on a good day is 2 miles an hour empty. It's a hybrid, diesel electric. One person to drive it, 20 other people operate all the different systems. That's a wonder of nature. Okay.
That's so cool.
Yes. But during the Apollo, they only use 3. During the shuttle, we only use 2 for assembly. And then, ladies and gentlemen, if we make our way down here, for 2 very important reasons. Number one, to show you a 1982 Airstream RV. 1983 Airstream. But this is NASA, so they call it the Astro Van. That's what they were transporting on. And the other highlight is really the gentleman here who used to work on the shuttle program with the tiles. His name is Kevin, a friend of mine, and he's going to tell you about how they did the tiles and how it's going to apply to the future. And if you have any questions, you can ask him. Remember the tile factor that we pointed out till we drove by? That's where he worked at. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin.
Hey, good afternoon. I was able to borrow some tiles for you guys to hold. I do need them back before you leave, though, so I don't have to talk to the FBI. If you do have any questions, feel free to ask. If I don't know the answer, I'll make some up just to impress you, because I'm not going to see you guys again. But if it's about tile, I'll probably get it right. If it's about the orbiters, 50-50 shot, probably. I worked on maybe half of it. But they are interesting. They're very, very lightweight. That's the first thing people notice is, wow. They are a ceramic, but we start with, instead of a bathroom tile, if you melted that tile and then drew it out into a fine fiber, that's what we start with, ceramic fibers. We mix them with water, ammonia, boron, some other ingredients. I'm going to call them secret because I forget what they are. They're not really secret. Basically sort of into a mud pie, and then we pour it into a casting tower, and the casting tower compresses that and sucks the water out. If we do it at the right rate, instead of just tangling the fibers up, we actually get them to lay across each other and do what we call felt. We make the sides clear so we can watch that happen. If we get it right, all those matrix of ceramic fibers will lay just the right way. We take that block, we dry it out, and then we put it in a sintering oven at 3,000 degrees for a few hours. Every place the fibers touch, they'll weld together. Some of the secret ingredients make that happen, like I said. But once the water's gone, it's about 92% air. So it's still a ceramic, but it's very, very efficient. If you look on YouTube and you type in thermal protection system facility, you'll see a video of my boss actually grabbing a chunk of tile as it comes out of a 2,200 degree oven. The center of it is still glowing red. The corners are sharp, so they cool off very quickly, and there's no heat transference in that material. That's the magic of it. There's no heat transference. So that gives us the base material of tile. Basically, we coat it either black or white, depending on where it's going to go. The black coating has an extra performance parameter. It reflects about 95% of the infrared energy. Unfortunately, the compounds that make that happen are black at room temperature. So we only use black where we have to, because that's very inefficient for a space vehicle, because it absorbs quite a bit of solar energy. So the operating temperature for a black tile on the surface of it is about 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit, about 1,260 degrees centigrade. The back of the tile is going to remain cooler than 250, or about 120 centigrade, because it's just structural aircraft aluminum underneath there. If you took all the tiles off, it'd be an ugly green airframe of a monster. So, any questions? Honestly, I'll try to tell the truth. I'll let you know if I'm going to lie. Yes?
How long does it take to make one, to make them?
To make a tile, start to finish with all the processing in between, 4 or 5 days. Basically, there's a couple of different ways we can start. They can take a picture of the cavity. We can use data that we already have in the computer for the last time we made that tile. And we can start from scratch. Or they can make us a pattern. But then we basically machine it out of a block we already made, coat it, send it over to them. They can fit it. They can do several things to it, send it back to us. We finish processing, send it back to them. They're glued on with just a room temperature vulcanizing, or RTV, silicone adhesive. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, the operating temperature is about 2,300 degrees on a black tile. the leading edge of the wing and the nose get a little hotter, and there's a different material on there called reinforced carbon-carbon. It's a different kind of material. It doesn't really insulate very well, but it does withstand those heats. But it's thinner, it's harder, it's a little bit more brittle, and it's very difficult to work with because those big pieces do a lot of changing when they heat up. There's a lot of articulating hardware that holds them onto the leading edge of the wing that weighs hundreds and thousands of pounds, probably. Basically, so it's an expensive way to go. So it's only used where we have to get that performance out of them. Tiles were supposed to go 100 flights. They were designed to withstand 100 flights. We had some go 39, I think, on Endeavor, which is the most flights, and they were still from the original installation. So ultimately, they probably, as far as the molecular mass loss on the coating and stuff, it was within parameters. So either one of those tiles would have gone, 100 flights. Yep.
Where did you get the idea for this kind of thing nowadays? Stolen from something, or?
I think it might have. Lockheed developed it. I think a guy named Beasley. I'm not sure if he ever worked in the Skunk Works, but I'm thinking somehow, some way, something came out of the Skunk Works a little bit. Because NASA basically put the bid out, and Lockheed was the first ones with their hands up, like, we already had this. So I can't say for sure, but the way it developed, it looked like Lockheed was already trying to develop some sort of really lightweight ceramic material. It's going to have a lot of application, aerospace and aviation even. Like some of our stealth fighters, near the engine nozzles, if you see little square pieces, they're probably tiles. We're not supposed to know, I guess, but they're probably tiles.
How many tiles are on the shuttle?
When we started, a lot of the upper surface tiles were replaced, about 33,000 maybe when we started, down to about 22,000 near the end. Just because we replaced them with bigger quilted blankets, a lot of the upper surface ones.
Really different. How do you shape inside?
No, they're almost unique. When we made them to initially install them, we could make a lot of them the same and then install them. But once we take one out and go to put it back in because of the installation requirement, they're almost all custom fit on the way back in. But that, we refined that process to make it almost as quick as if you almost had it on the shelf. Actually, there was a lot of stuff we used that for early on in the shuttle. We actually had one of the early ones, which is just a vat of resin with a laser dancing on it. That was